name is Amanda Korzat. I'm an animal care specialist here at Three Lakes Nature Center, and today I'm going to tell you guys a little bit about one of our native turtle species, the spotted turtle. So this is actually one of my favorite turtle species that we have here in Virginia, and they can be found in shallow bodies of water, flooded fields, marshes, streams, fens, bogs, areas like that, and even flooded ditches. Any area where there is thick vegetation and grasses for them to hide in. And their range varies. In the US, there are two non-congruent ranges for this species. So one of the ranges, which Virginia falls into, goes from Delaware and Maryland down the East Coast in pockets down to the northern tip of Florida. And then there's another range over in the Great Lakes area. So in very southern Ontario of Canada, and then areas of northern Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and New York. So these two ranges actually do not meet, and you're going to get a little bit of variation in the species from one population to the next. So these guys are pretty small turtles. They average in length from 3.5 to 4.5 inches long. They're called spotted turtles because they have a dark shell with yellow spots on it, and I'll show you a little bit more about that later. And there is a little bit of sexual dimorphism or physical differences between the two sexes that can allow you to tell the differences between males and females of this species. So these guys, they don't reach sexual maturity until 7 to 14 years. So it takes them quite a while to be able to reproduce. And when they do reproduce, they only have a clutch or a group of eggs from the average 3 to 5 eggs. So they don't reproduce very quickly, and that is one of the limitations to population growth and sustaining populations of the species. There are several threats to these guys, primarily habitat loss or destruction of wetlands. Humans have been coming in and filling in a lot of the wetlands for building and development of these areas, and that really limits the suitable areas for them to breed and reproduce. Another big threat to this species is the pet trade. They are very small and really cute little turtles, so people want to keep them as pets. So they've actually been taken out of the wild, which has really been affecting their populations. These guys will actually breed from March to about May, and then depending on the area, so northern populations with colder climates are going to breed a little bit later than more southerly populations. And then they will actually lay their eggs from May to June, and they find a nice warm sunny spot kind of open to dig a little nest and bury their eggs so they can incubate there. And then incubation takes approximately 77 days, give or take. And then they hatch out in August or September. And these guys will actually, once they're done laying their eggs, they will go into periods of estivation or periods of dormancy where they just kind of lay low and they're very inactive. And then they're most active actually early in the spring. Unlike a lot of turtle species, these guys come out really early when it's still cold. So after the first thaw in maybe February or March here in Virginia, these guys will start coming out. Like I mentioned, they are found in very isolated pockets, and that is due to lack of suitable habitat. So they're found mostly in the coastal and then Piedmont area in Virginia, west of the mountains, and then in isolated pockets in northern counties in Virginia. So here I have a subadult spotted turtle. So as young turtles, they have one spot per scoop. The scoops are these little flakes made of keratin, like your fingernails or your hair, that cover their bony shell. So when they're first hatched, they have one spot per scoop, and that number changes as they age, and it can actually fade completely in older adults. You can see that they are pretty small. This one is, like I said, subadult, so it's not fully an adult yet, but they don't get too much bigger than this. They stay to about 3.5 to 4.5 inches at adulthood. I mentioned that there is differences between males and females that you can tell. So this one is a male. It has a concave bottom of its shell. The bottom of this shell is called the plastron. So it's got a concave plastron, whereas the females will have a flat plastron. The males also have brownish eyes, and then they will have a tan or black chin. The females will have more of an orangish eye, and the chin will be orange or yellowish color. You can see these guys have very bright orange coloration, and that's very similar to some of their close relatives, which are the wood turtle and the bog turtle. So these guys will lay clutches of 3 to 5 eggs, and the sex of the hatchlings is actually determined by temperature. So if in warmer temperatures, the hatchlings will be female, and in colder temperatures, the hatchlings will be male. These guys will eat in the wild things like worms, snails, slugs, various crustaceans, spiders. They are heavily preyed upon by raccoons. Raccoons have really found a niche in eating these guys. Also, dogs and snapping turtles are predators. Their eggs and nests are also heavily preyed upon by small animals such as raccoons, possums, and other small mammals. So those are some of the threats to these guys in addition to human threats such as habitat loss and the pet trade. You can see he's kind of hiding right now. Turtles have this ability to kind of tuck themselves in their shells. This one is also, as a male, he's kind of tucking it in right now, but has a longer and thicker tail than the females, where the females will have a shorter